this is AK. I know I haven't posted a video in a really long time, but I suddenly felt really motivated to do it. So I'm gonna post a video about something quite random. I actually don't think I've ever done a video about this on my channel, I think. I've done gaming, I've done some really random ass videos, and then I have done like fountain pen, ink, journaling things, like a very brief drawing video, but that was also with fountain pens. And here I am. I feel like I've always just been really random, but I've really been into watercolors lately. I mean, I'm always a little bit into watercolors. I have been since I was a teenager, but particularly I'm very interested right now. I kind of got back into it. It comes in periods for me. I really care about doing art. Then I get distracted by a different hobby. I don't do, watercolors for a while or other kinds of art things. Maybe I'm busy with my studies too. And then I come back to it. That's just how it works for me. So yes, currently very interested, and I have got new art supplies. I love art supplies. It's like one of my original big interests when I was younger. It's the entire reason for why I'm studying chemical engineering, so on, right? So yeah, I just wanted to talk about my new art supplies. So one thing I wanted to talk about is this Roman Szmal's mini metal box for 12 half pans. Now this was really random. Actually, this purchase, it's a little watercolor tin for holding half pans, or I guess you could put full pans in if you wanted to. And this is a Polish brand, I believe. I got this from Jackson's. I don't know a lot about them. I think I own like 2 colors by this brand, 2 half pans, but I don't really know much about them. They're like a newer watercolor brand on the market, I think, and they do artist quality materials. I also think they don't just do watercolors. I think they do a lot of other, like oils and stuff too, but I mainly know them through watercolors because I don't do oils. And yeah, I was on Jackson's art supply website and I just saw this and was like, that is so cute. I've been really wanting to draw outside or something, so I thought a mini palette would be great. And also I'm always looking forward to getting new tins because I have a lot of watercolors and I love setting up new palette layouts, so it didn't seem so bad to get a tin. I don't remember what this cost me. It comes in, I think, 4 or 5 different colors, and they're all like pastels. Oh, well, there's one that's like a gold, and I would argue gold isn't a pastel shade, but the rest are pastels. And I got the apricot. Here you go, this is the real deal. It's super small for a watercolor box, and yeah, I don't know the price of it, but it wasn't very expensive. Let me just compare it to a different box. So this is a Rosa Gallery watercolor tin. This is a Ukrainian brand. I also bought this on Jackson's. This one holds 18 pans, and you just tell it's much larger than this one. This is a mini one, but it holds 12 pans, which is pretty good for a mini. I have this one. This one also holds 12 pans, but as you can see, it's like about 1/3 bigger than the Roman Szmal's mini metal box. And then I have one that holds 24 pans, and it's not even half of that size. So it's pretty good, I would say. It's really small, really cute. And yeah, this is my Rosa Gallery. And I've just been wanting, I like this Rosa Gallery palette, but I had just been wanting something a bit smaller. And also, when I open up, oh, please open easily. There you go. When I open up my Roman Szmal's palette, sorry, it's really messy. This one holds 18 colors. Now I've removed some to put them into this, right? But this one holds 18 colors, and I really like watercolors. It really makes me happy to think about palette choices and pigments and all of that. But sometimes when I was painting, I was actually feeling like I had a little bit too much going on here. I really like a limited palette. So it's like, maybe this is too much. But this is a really nice palette. I mean, I filled it with my own things, to be fair. You can get actual like watercolor sets from Rosa Gallery. I've just never really bought a watercolor set myself that already has pans that are filled and all that, right? I always buy the empty tins. This is nice, but look at how cute this is. It basically fits in the palm of my hands. And now I have really small hands. I don't have a banana for scale, but it's really cute. And I have the apricot color. I don't know if I said that already. So let's open this bad boy up. So it has these two little spaces for mixing. And then it also has this thing. I've always found this a bit funny, you know, like the little indents. It's like, what are they supposed to do? They don't hold that much, but also has this for mixing. And this is the palette. There's water in it right now because I just sprayed the colors. And currently I have 10 shades in here. It's all like handpicked by me because when I made my order from Jackson's Art Supplies, I was also buying some watercolor tubes to kind of like make my own palette and fill it up. And I was just feeling really inspired. So I just want to show these tubes I bought. So, okay, first comparison. Oh, well, actually, let me show one of the tubes. I bought, look, this is a Schminke Horadam Aquarelle, which is that artist quality watercolor tubes. And this is 5 milliliters. This is so small. It's basically just the height of this tin, right, when it's closed. It's so small. I didn't know these tubes were so small. I mean, I know 5 milliliters isn't a lot, but it is so itsy bitsy cute. This is just the French ultramarine, which is the granulating ultramarine they sell, ultramarine blue. Let me just compare it to a Winsor & Newton tube. So this is Winsor & Newton professional watercolors, and I have cobalt green hair. I know, what an expensive color. Admittedly, I got this in a really good sale, but this is 14 milliliters. Just look at that. And this cost way more than this one did because of the sale, but like, damn. But I got a bunch of these little mini tubes because Jackson's was having a sale. I think it was like 20%, 25% off or something like that. Pretty good price. I like Jackson's because they have a really good selection of just a bunch of art materials, and they're not really anything I find here in Denmark, so I really liked it. Anyway, so I picked a bunch of colors. Some stuff I already knew, and then some I was like, I want to try that pigment, you know. Anyway, so yeah, this is the palette. It's really cute, isn't it? Now I'm gonna show the colors I put in it. Again, I only have 10 colors, so bear with me. Now this is Arch cold press watercolor paper, 300 GSM. Just ignore this top row. I've actually never used Arches before. I usually use Fabriano Artistico watercolor paper, but this is Arch. And these are the colors I currently have in my palette. So, like I said, a few of these are new to me and some I know really well. So the first thing is I got a tube of PY 129, which tends to be a green gold in most like professional watercolor ranges. And this one is specifically the green gold from Sennelier, which is not called green gold, it's called brown green. I think they do sell a green gold, but if you buy that one, you're not getting the PY 129 pigments. You're going to get, I believe, a mix of several pigments. I usually don't buy mixes of pigments. I am like a single pigment gal. But yeah, so that's why I got the brown green one. Just to be mindful, always check the pigments when you purchase. But I got this. I really wanted to try this for years. It is a very, very green leaning yellow pigment. You know, it's like chartreuse, or I guess someone called this like a puke color or something like that. I think it's really pretty, and I imagine this is gonna be so good for greens if you do any type of like landscape painting. Now, I'm not really good at doing landscape paintings. In fact, I'm quite random with what I paint, but I always want to do landscapes. So I just thought it would be like funny to own this. For a long time, actually, I wanted PY 129 from Schminke, which they used to sell, but I've noticed they don't have it anymore, sadly. So anyway, this is like, usually when I build a palette, I work with a split primary kind of core of colors. So like, you know, a cool yellow, a warm yellow, a cool red, a warm red, a cool blue, a warm blue. That's usually what I work with. And then I build from there, adding other like convenience or like necessary colors that I think are nice to have for mixing. So this is my cool yellow. It's very cool, very green leaning. Then I have PBR24, which is an earth pigment, but it is also like a kind of yellow ochre-like color. It's a little bit opaque. I think I would say this is semi-opaque. And it has a little bit more of like a dull earthy tone to it. And I picked this as kind of like a warm yellow, maybe a bit of a weird choice. And I'm going to see how I like it. Because I could also use this up here, which is PY153 gamboge, or it's like new gamboge pigment. This pigment is not really available anymore, but I have a tube of it from Lucas, which I got in, I don't know, 2016, something like that. It's a really nice warm yellow, and this one here is a total lie. It's not PG free. It's a really nice warm yellow, so I probably also wanted to go with this, but I was more curious about using this from Winsor & Newton. It's the Naples Yellow Deep. Then for a earth kind of warmly orange shade, I have this. This is Burnt Sienna. Now I wrote Pigment Brown 7, but I realized this is actually wrong of me. It's PR101, which is just your synthetic red oxide pigment instead. And this one is by Shinhan, which is a Korean brand. I don't usually buy from this, but at some point I did get like 2 tubes from them. So this is that Burnt Sienna. I think I bought it thinking it was PBR7, but then it turns out it was PR101 instead. I don't know. There's been some trouble with like what the actual pigments are, but it's a Korean brand. And I like this color. It's like, to me, it kind of just screams like burnt sienna. It has that kind of like reddish shade, which I expect, but it's not overly red. It's not like an Indian red or anything like that. It's quite nice. And it mixes well. These also tend to be more transparent when it's a synthetic variant. This is a new pigment. This is a quinacridone red, PR207. I got this from Schminke, and I think it's called the quinacridone red lights. I've never tried a quinacridone red before, I think. Well, maybe that's a lie, because this is also quinacridone red. This is Quin Cherry Red from Roman Szmal. And this is the quinacridone red light. So PR207 and PR209. That's the Roman Szmal one. And I got this to be a warm red. Red's always like a difficult category in watercolors because a lot of red pigments don't have the best light fastness if you want to work in a very light fast, way so you can sell your paintings and so on. They don't fade in the light. So it's always a bit scary. And then some of the really good red pigments, they tend to be more opaque. I think the gold standard for light fastness when it comes to reds is cadmium reds, but they are also more opaque. I've never used the cadmium red myself, so I got this as like a warm red, but it does lean a little bit pink, which you can see when I kind of water it out here, is that it's not so orange leaning. It's got more like a coral pink thing going on for it. But I can mix this with something like the burnt sienna and make it a little bit warmer, I think. I need to do some mixes with it. We have a purple. I always like having a purple because I think it's really fun to mix with. You can mix really vibrant, like cool purples using a magenta. And usually you can use the magenta with an orange also to actually just get a red color. So it's your kind of cyan, magenta, yellow color triad, right? And this one is Schminke Quinacridone Magenta, PR202. I also have PR122 from Schminke, which is another quinacridone purple. This one I think they call purple magenta instead, and that one I've been using for years. It's also really nice, but I wanted to try this. Sorry, the lighting is a bit weird because it's an overcast day, but the sun is shining through the window. So yeah, like a warm and a cool red. Then some convenience colors. This one is new to me. This is Schminke Mahogany Brown PBR 33. This is known as like a granulating warmish brown pigment, and you can really see the granulation here, I think. I usually use burnt umber in my palette, but I wanted to try something new. So let's see how that goes. I quite like granulation, so hopefully it's nice. We have Perylene Green, PBK31. I really like Perylene Green. It's one of my favorite kind of convenience colors in a palette. Obviously, it's a very dark shade, and it works really well as like shadow colors because it is so dark. You can use it to darken your other shades. If you mix it with a purple or magenta, like PR202, you get basically like a black, which you can then tint more green or more purple, depending on, you know, the composition of your mixture. It's really nice. I really like Perylene Green. It's also really pretty when you shade out because it's a black pigment that kind of presents as like a very muted green, and I think Schminke's is quite nice. Then we have the bright green. I also like having a bright green. You can mix some insane colors using this. This is a phthalo green yellow shade, PG36 from Winsor & Newton. I was debating between this and the blue shade, but I actually went with the green shade because I tested out mixes with both and I found that they were very comparable, but I had a tube of the yellow shade of phthalo green because I also got that for really cheap in that sale. So this is just, if we want to mix like really strong kind of grassy greens with a yellow, you can do that with this, but also you can kind of share out, or not share out, but with some of the reddish colors, you can make some really interesting like grays because, you know, red and green are kind of opposite each other on the color wheel, so they mute each other. I don't know, I just think it's really vibrant and fun to have. This is for my favorite pigment, Cobalt Turquoise PG50 from Schminke. It's just such a fun color. It's Cobalt Turquoise. It's an opaque pigment. It doesn't tint mixtures so strongly, which tinting is basically like if you make a mixture with this and another color, how much does the amount of pigment you put in of this color affect that mixture overall. Sometimes you have colors that have like really high tinting strength, so you need a very little amount to alter the color of your mixture basically. But yeah, this Cobalt Turquoise, it's kind of opaque. Normally in watercolors, opaque colors are like tricky to use because you can really easily get like muddy results. But I just really like, first of all, the vibrancy and the tone of this shade is so pretty. It's just such a unique color, right? Being this like turquoise, it like really screams turquoise. Now, I would rarely use this color in its pure form, for example, for sky or for water or something like that. But if you do more like illustrative work, it works really well, and it makes really beautiful granulating mixtures with reds and purples and browns and so on. And also you can make some really pretty greens using it, and they usually granulate. It's really pretty. And then lastly, I have PB28, which is Cobalt Blue Light from Schminke. So this is a Cobalt Blue. I love Cobalt Blues. This one's really pretty. The only thing is it's not so dark. So this limited palette I made here, I still have space for 2 more colors, but I would say in general, this is a limited palette that maybe has some trouble making some dark colors, just because right now, right, this is my this is my cool green, like cool blue that leans more green, and it's very light. And this is like my warm blue that leans more warm, but it's also on the lighter side compared to, you know, PB29, which is ultramarine blue. Or this is an example of like a cool blue, right? PB36, which is also like a cobalt blue cerulean. These two are much darker, so they will create much more versatile mixes. But I still have space for two more here. And I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna buy to put in here. I kind of want to buy Schminke Cobalt Purple Hue, which is PB62, which is like a purple. A cool leaning purple. I think that could be really pretty, or like it's like very blue leaning. But it might also be a good idea to get something like an orange or a different like earth pigment, or maybe not a neutral tint, since I already have the Parylene green. I don't know, decisions. But it's very nice. Yeah, I could imagine adding an orange, actually, like a purple and an orange, which will also be good for mixing. So those are the colors I have. Up here we just have a completely different mixing palette. This is actually really versatile too. This is way more versatile than this down here, actually. I also think that is the one I have swatched out here. Yeah, when I ordered from Jackson's, I got a few like all these like paper cards here. I got a few of them, and there's these like color wheels where you pick 3 primaries, right, and you mix them together and you see what you get. It's actually a really fun exercise. So this is one that I did using this like split primary. So we got the quinacridone red lights, and we got the quinacridone purple, we got the cobalt blue light, we got the cobalt turquoise. Actually, this is just the primary I used to this palette. And these are the colors I was able to mix with them. Now, they are a bit on the light side, and I do think when I did this, I wasn't so careful with the water amount used. It's printed on Fabriano watercolor 300 GSM cold press paper. So it should be pretty good paper that was printed on. But yeah, this is not like, some of these colors could definitely be much deeper to kind of show what this palette can do, these split primary. But I was actually pretty happy with it. You know, I could mix this kind of orange using these two. Obviously, this gives, it's a little bit coral leaning. This is not a great example of what I could mix with these, but it's nice though. Cooler purple, kind of like an in-between here, right? This almost resembles the cerulean in a way. Makes a nice green. And the interesting thing doing this exercise, starting with your split primary, is as you continue through the wheel, mixing more colors together, right? Because this is like these two being mixed, and then this is these two being mixed, right? So you're involving more pigments in your mixture if you're using single pigments. Is that you see the colors getting deeper and also a bit more muted. And it makes sense if you think about how colors work, right? Like when you have a color, like the color you're seeing is basically the wavelengths that are not being absorbed by that pigment. So it's what's being sent back that you're seeing. And when you're adding more pigments, which all absorb at different wavelengths, you're limiting more and more like the wavelength that's being sent back to your eye to be interpreted, right? So that's why I think you get these kind of deeper colors that are like this. But it's not a bad triad, I think. There's some things you will not be able to mix with it, just a triad. Or it's not triad, it's a split primary, so it's more like 6 colors, right? It's not a bad one, and it really helps that I still have space for more colors, so this doesn't go so deep. Obviously, something like the PBK 31 is gonna change how deep I can go using these colors. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. I also did another one, a split primary palette, using this up here. So this is my cool yellow, this is my warm yellow, my cool red, using an orange as the red. It's not a cool red, it's the warm red, and my cool red, And then we have warm blue, cool blue. And this is what I was able to do. Obviously, compared to this one, I put the paint on much stronger here. But this was actually a really versatile palette, being able to mix lots of great colors using only these 6. You know, look at this, the orange and the magenta. I was able to make this like red color. It was actually really quite good. Mixing some good greens. It's very versatile. There are some mixtures you're not going to be able to see with this approach. For example, I'm not really seeing what happens when I mix the PY 153, for example, with these 2 blues over here, because they're just too far away. But I would, you know, get something more coral leaning mixing those. Or even the orange mixing in, I would also get like very, not coral, olive, I mean, leaning greens. So it's very versatile. But like I said, I wanted to try something new, so instead I did this. I don't really know if I should say anything more. I kind of wanted to do a demonstration painting with it, but I've actually yapped for 26 minutes already. So maybe I should just stop. Okay, I think I'm just gonna stop. Have a good day. I hope this was inspiring or something. Bye-bye. Also, it's just a test, seeing how it is to film with this phone.